If you're thinking of buying a home here in Ocean City or anywhere in New Jersey, one thing that you definitely need to know through and through is what your closing costs may be before you buy. In this video, I'm going to dive deep and cover the top categories that will make up your closing costs so you can better prepare for your purchase. Hey there, Nick Deckard here, your local agent here in Ocean City, New Jersey. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below as well as the notification bell, because I'm putting out content around buying in Ocean City each and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and you don't want to miss it. Closing costs can seem like kind of a black box where you don't really know what you're getting into until sometimes it's too late. But wouldn't it be nice to have a better understanding of what that out-of-pocket cost is likely to be before you buy? If you know exactly what that's going to amount to, you're going to be able to make a much smarter decision, and you'll be ready to buy right away when you see the right home hit the market. So one of the biggest items is going to be your down payment, and not in traditional down payment terms. We're talking about what we call an earnest money deposit or a good faith deposit. Normally there's a deposit due within the first 7 days of signing a contract, and that can amount from anywhere between $1,000, $100,000. There is no true standard, but the bigger that is, the more the seller is going to be inclined to take you seriously as a buyer. And in the market we're in, as of the making of this video, that is one of the points of differentiation that can help you secure the property of your dreams. Now, another cost that you're going to have to take into consideration that's much smaller than the rest will cover is your inspection cost. Now, you're going to want to have a home inspection, and typically you have a termite inspection done as well. There are other inspections like mold, air quality, radon that you can have done, but those two typically come out to around $500. And again, compared to the scheme of things in this big purchase, that's not a huge amount, but it is substantial. So we want to make sure that you're aware of what that is likely to be. Now, one of the biggest costs is going to be your title insurance. Now, I know a lot of buyers think that shopping around is going to save them hundreds or even thousands of dollars on title insurance, but I have news for you. Here in New Jersey, those costs are standardized. No matter what title company you choose to use, you are going to be charged the same fees. In addition to that, there are some minor settlement and title fee charges that are typically split between the buyer and the seller. They tend to amount to about a few $100s. So again, nothing substantial, but you can expect and should expect that to happen on each and every purchase that you make. Now, the next two I want to touch on are called escrows and prorations. Now, those are both fancy words that don't mean a whole lot, but it's important to understand what's going to go into those two pieces. Now, for escrows, you're responsible obviously for paying your taxes, your insurances, and if you're going to be getting a mortgage, if you're going to be financing this purchase, those two are going to be put into an escrow account more often than not to make payments easier for you and to ensure that those payments are made on time. Now, upon closing, typically you're putting about 3 or 4 months of taxes and insurance into that escrow account. So when that year comes up, your lender can forward those amounts onto the city and onto the insurance company on your behalf, and you are ready to go for the next year. As far as prorations can go, this is going to differ on every purchase and every property. Now, what this means in a nutshell is sometimes sellers pay for things in full prior to closing. So for instance, taxes again, or insurance. Let's say that the seller paid a full quarter of taxes and closed on the second day of that quarter. They're owed the majority of that quarter back. So on the settlement sheet, what that's going to look like is there's going to be roughly a quarter worth of taxes minus 2 days coming from you, being paid to the title company, which is then being flowed over to the seller as a credit because they're owed that money back as they had already paid in full. And the last one I want to cover that is only applicable if you are purchasing in a condo. Most condos have what we call a capital contribution, and that can range from a very small amount to a semi-large amount. And that, in addition to the HOA fees that are sometimes collected in advance for a few months, can be a substantial unexpected piece of this puzzle. I've seen a few buyers back out of their contracts once they found out the amount of these capital contributions. So if you're going to be purchasing in a condo, make sure that the agent you're working with gets you this information up front so you know if you're going to be okay with that going in. And the last thing I want to leave you with is the best estimate that you're going to get on what all of these closing costs are likely to add up to is going to be through your lender. So if you're working with a lender already, fantastic. Make sure you reach out to them and ask them these questions. If you're working with a lender, you ask these questions and you don't get an answer that's very helpful, I would recommend that you work with one of our local lenders here who is abundantly familiar with all the ins and outs of how real estate works in Ocean City specifically. And that's it. I hope you learned something from this video, and I appreciate you stopping by. If you have any questions, as always, drop them in the comments. My contact information is in the description. I am always happy to answer them directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video.